Hello and welcome to Farming Simulator 2019 with me, Kevin Sawyer. Hope you guys and girls are all well and enjoying your day. Right, I've been doing a fair amount of work, a bit of work off screen, but not a great deal. Today, hopefully, I'm going to cover some sort of like more of the Courseplay aspects. Now, this is a tough one for seeding and that. If you guys use the same sort of silos I do in the mod hub, you may run across this, especially if you're using Coursplay as well. What I would say is stick to, at present, that's what I should say, at present version of this. So I look round, it's bottom right there, you'll see it at the bottom right. It has problems with the, I'll show you in the shop actually, if I go into the shop, because that's why I've sold my initial planter or seeders, because initially I had these two, didn't I, in the previous episodes. It doesn't work too well with these. Anything that's a two-part one, it doesn't work very well. It works with anything that's fine, it's all integrated, but it just has a hard time trying to deal with it. And I'll go into reason why in a sec. But I'm going to show you how to do it as a basic start off. So what you want to do is obviously sort of get yourself sort of in your field you want to start your Courseplay from. So I want to start it from this one, and then if we start Courseplay, I've already started on a couple of the other fields actually, and I'll go, where's my mouse, there, start Courseplay recording and start driving off. Let me just reset track IR because it's been a bit derpy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drive over to here. Now it's going to seem a bit crazy what I'm doing. I'm going the opposite way to the farm. I'll explain to why I'm doing that. Because initially I set up the courses this way round. So if I drive this way round, as long as I make sure I always drive this way round, there shouldn't be any issues. I could have gone through and around here, I guess. So not the mic, sorry peeps. So what I'm going to do is just drive the course. Now here's where it gets a bit tricky, so you want to come out of camera view. And what I find, if this will help, if you leave that uncovered, you know that the tip point should appear. Just make sure you're nice and centered. If you've got this kind of filler like I have, make sure you're nice and centered over that. Drive through there, and it should see there it said start filling. You know you've made it. That's why I say it's better to drive with the covers open. The only reason I say it's better to drive the covers open is for this bit round here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive nice and slowly. Now bear in mind that if you've got several different sized seeders, this isn't going to work from all. So what you might want to do is clarify what's wide and what's small. Just drive through there. So it says start filling. Now if I keep driving along here, it says start filling again. I also had to reposition all these because the triggers on these ain't great because they were so close together. It was causing issues along that line. But once you've gone past the points you want to fill point, it's a bit similar to the lime filling. Drive back out. I can drive back through here actually, because this shouldn't have interfered with any other part of the course. Drive nicely like that, back into your field, and then stop. Now, I forget what field this is, so I'm going to bring up the mini-map. This is field 19, so we want to now save this as seed plus, no, not equals, plus. Now you could put fertiliser if you want, but I'm just going to put seed plus F, and then field 19, wasn't it, I think. And then save. Just double check that it was field 19. Yeah, field 19. Right, once you've done that, now your next bit, obviously, you want to drive. You can get rid of this now because we don't need it for now. You can drive up to the point you want to start at. Typically, what I would recommend as well, just to be on the safe side, I haven't needed it so far because it's been behaving alright, but just to be on the safe side, put your narrow tyres on. That way, if you get stuck on the field for any reason, you don't destroy your crop to start off with. So get to the point you want, and then you can either do it two ways. You can either do it via the advanced settings or whatever. Yeah, shush. So if we go to field work, make sure your header's calculated. It should be kept still 4.5 for these, and it's field 19. Starting direction, and if you go into the cogs, it will come up, and you can select it either way. It's up to you. If you select generate course, and it should highlight it for you, and then you should be good to go. Is that straight? Yeah, that's fairly straight to me. And then once you've done that, you can then bring the other course in. So it was seed refill field 19. And then unfold it. Well, you shouldn't really need to unfold it, just start from first waypoint. It should start on its own. Drive course. And it will automatically close the headers once it's run a full course. Once it goes to that certain point, it'll close the headers. You could have done, I could have done that off screen. In fact, what I'll do is just go over it again, because I've got to bring this tractor back as well. Right, so again, we can do the same thing again. So bring up Coursplay recording, start your course. Take the header off, sorry, the cover off, jump back into tractor, drive to the point where you want to come on and off your field. Wrong way. You might see I'm driving a bit erratically today, more than usual, because I've pulled a muscle in my shoulder, in my left shoulder, and it hurts a lot. And because I'm using my right hand, because of the way I'm I'm slightly further away with my right hand than I am with my left hand to my wheel. So that's why I'm kind of driving a bit more crazy than normal. Again, make sure you're nicely lined up. Make sure nicely lined up with that spout. Drive nice and slowly under the spike, and just make sure that's, yeah. It's got a weird delayed reaction to that, because it doesn't come up the tip point when you expect it to. drive nice and just drive it. Take your time. Say that way you won't make a mistake and you have to re-record your course. Drive it nice and level again with the seed point. Just make sure you now the only reason I'm incorporating that seed tank is just in case that the silo's out of seed, then it covers both options. It won't buy any more from that actual seed fill point. It'll fill itself up and then it detects it's already full, and then it will drive on to the next point. Again, drive up to the point, you'll go back to your field, take it nice and slow where you know points where AI traffic cross, like here. Coursplay will just run straight into it, and then drive it back into your field. Doesn't have to go super crazy in far, just enough so you're back in the field, and then stop. What field was this? This was field 11. So save that as plus. Save. Check that was field 11. Yeah, it was field 11. Right. Now you might be wondering why I'm starting the opposite end. Just for immersive gameplay, because obviously in real life farmers wouldn't start seeding, although they're probably going to be driving around with care wheels anyway. They wouldn't seed the side of the field that they're actually coming in and out of. They'd leave that opposite, so they'd start seeding on the furthest side and work their way towards it. Right. And they typically drive along the edges of the field anyway when they're going to refill, so they don't run over their own. Doesn't really matter with the Coursplay at the moment, because there's not such thing as Coursplay won't implement course destruction yet, but that might come into the at some point in the future. Right, so obviously same thing applies. Go into your field. Let me clear that out. Field 11, wasn't it? Starting direction. Work out course. Back up a little bit. Drive a bit closer in towards where the start point is. Bring up the other one, so it's seed plus fertilizer. Field 11. First waypoint. Then drive. He should now crack on, and again they'll close the covers up. If you forget to put the covers on, it will close it automatically once it goes to that field. I just find that's, I don't, you know, I find it works better for when you're driving around with these. I'll show you those silos for you guys that may have missed it. Again, people are going to sit there, no, I'm not an idiot, Kev, I saw them. But for those people that didn't see them or missed them and don't know what I'm talking about, these silos over here, now you find them on the mod hub. I'm hoping the modder at some point will sort of like improve the trigger, because although if I show you when you drive up to these, in fact I've got to pick some of these up because they're getting a bit spread all over the place. When you drive up to these with that planter on, with this one on, it opens automatically and it starts filling. But if you drive it up to this over here, what I found is even if I drove, well, I tried 2 different courses. Initially I tried a course just driving along here, and it got confused and it just started spending loads of money and says refilling, but it wasn't. And then eventually the back end got really super heavy and the whole thing just flipped up on itself. That's what I found. So what I thought about is doing another course that looped around here and then drove forward into this point with it open, and then reversing back out again and then driving back forward, but then it just couldn't work out what I was trying to do, so it just didn't work. It just kept on crashing into that thing. But if you drove up sideways to it, it just wouldn't the trigger, even with the door out front, the little cover open, it just wouldn't detect the trigger and start filling. I suspect if these were further apart, even further apart, he may get round that. You'd have to sort of like have one and then one along a bit with the so you can sort of like drive the unit round. But again, I just found that's the problem I get. Your mileage may vary depending on what sort of like seed refill points you use. If you don't use these, use something else. Try it initially with that seeder and fertilizer pod on the front. Just try driving up normally to it. Don't try forward and reversing to it, and see what happens. If it automatically opens the front like it does when you drive up to these, then you're good to go. But that's just the sort of things I found. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a bit of a clear up round here. Move some of this around. Because I haven't been playing, well, I'm done the recording. I don't know if I mentioned this in the last episode or not. Obviously, the last update they had incorporated, improved the grass texture, so you could put grass back down at stage 1. So I've managed to sort of like put the grass back down along here, so it looks a bit more true to life, and also back along here. If I run along here, I found a sort of weird thing with the weed growth now. It's doing weird sort of things. Although I started off seeding this morning, that field's already fully seeded. It just grew literally within minutes of me seeding it. I think there's a specific time that the seeds grow in. Yeah, so as I was saying, I've put all the grass texture along here. Generally just made it a bit more true to life, so to speak. Still got the horses, they're all good. Sheep are doing well, so the pigs are breeding like rabbits as normal. But what can I do? What was I going to do? Bring that tractor back. See, now look, it should be refilling. See, now we close that door back up again. And he'll just go back to the field where he started off with, or where he left off, so to speak. And now it all makes sense now to why I went round the houses with this, because obviously what you don't want to do is have tractors coming opposite each other. Because say that tractor is working at the field over there, and this tractor is working at the field over here, and that they all both simultaneously reach the silo point, you've got problems, and it just makes life generally a lot easier. Just making sure you've got a set route for each one. Anyway, I babbled on. Let's grab this, take it back to the farm. I sold off a load of milk off screen because we're running a bit low on funds. And also, I'll demonstrate, although I've sold all the milk off now, I'll demonstrate how to do a milk run as well. I don't really need to do one because I've already done one, but I'll do one again just to show you guys what you need to do. to the peeps that don't know how to use Coursplay and want to figure it out. I'm going to cheat, I'm just going to drive through there. Don't do that when you're recording your course speech, because otherwise obviously what's going to happen is your course can drive through that bit. It's very similar to the when you're doing a grain silo course to sell the grain off. It's a very similar concept actually. In fact, it's pretty much the same. I'm just going to demonstrate to you guys that may not know what I'm talking about. And don't think I've actually covered that as a tutorial as yet. The only thing I've found with the milk sales point is with aspects the beacons don't go on, weirdly enough. I'm doing it with the milk. Does with the grain, doesn't do it with the milk. Also got the auto light cancel as well now, thankfully. So now I don't have to worry about turning the ignition, or sorry, turning the indicators on or off. They just turn off automatically. Now, if you're using this barn like me, I find this is the better way. The conventional in-game barns will probably be a bit easy to work with, but just bear in mind it's the same sort of formula. So what you want to do, make sure that course isn't loaded yet. Again, make sure your box is up. So anywhere around there should be fine. As long as you get your tip marker come up, you're good to go. I just make sure that it's more or less in the box. As long as it's in the box and it says start filling, that's where you want to start your course recording. So start your course recording from there. Drive your course as you would normally do. Obviously, because I've got no milk, I can't demonstrate to you guys it working, but take it easy on. And again, because we know AI traffic comes through here, just come to a gentle stop and then just drive on. Get rid of that so it's not so cluttered. We can get rid of that as well because we know we don't need that for now. Again, take this nice and wide. If you really want to try and sort of like incorporate, like I'm being an idiot right now by incorporating Coursplay in with AI traffic, it's never a good idea. But again, with driving courses like this, long course where you know AI traffic's going to be getting involved, just try and minimise reduce the lead in your foot, so to speak. Just drive at sort of sensible speed, and then you may not end up catching up with these guys. Coursplay will recognise it and slow down. He's indicating, don't know why. But if you can just reduce that, then obviously you'll find it won't come into problems with like driving really quick up against the back of the AI drivers. Again, keeping it. Just drive. Just remember, you've got a trailer on the back. I find it better to drive with the trailer on the back. It doesn't necessarily have to be loaded. But I just find it better if you do. And drive up to your sales point, making sure, again, my previous course actually went a bit wide, so I might use this one because this is a better drawn course, to be fair. It kind of clips one of the cars on this corner right here. Actually, I drove a little bit wide and a bit quick. Just a little tiny bit wide there. Slow down for the ramp. Again, just, you know, eliminate the possibility of making any mistakes, but just taking it nice and steady. Drive up the ramp, and then again, just give it a. Don't have to go mad on the tyre, as long as it's. Make sure that the front end of the tractor gets on that ramp evenly, otherwise you're going to have problems. Drive slowly across your tip point. Drive on. Again, slowing down, just making sure it gets it. If there is an AI traffic coming across, it's going to detect it and stop in time. Again, I'm probably going a bit too much on the left hand side there. And they're probably going a bit quick as well. This is where it gets a bit tricky, I found this, because the back end likes to sort of like rub against that curb, so just take that nice and slow. I don't think the AI comes around here. I think sometimes it does, but very rarely I've seen it drive all the way around the roundabout. Again, take it nice and easy. If you haven't got traffic turned on, then you don't necessarily have to really worry about stopping or slowing down. You can just drive as you normally would. I would say just slow down a little bit on corners, just so then, because I remember from playing 17 and all the rest of them with Coursplay involved. If you drive too quickly round a corner, Coursplay will copy you, and it's fine on some tractors. Some tractors are fine and handle that corner very well. What you find is other tractors don't, and you'll find it tips itself over, or it gets it wrong, and it just ends up understeering, and it ends up going straight into a tree or something silly like that. So I just find, just take it nice and easy, nice and slow. Drive back up towards your farm or wherever you need to drive. Nice and easy again, because we know that the traffic comes along here, so just roll to a nice stop and then drive into your back into your yard or your farm. Again, take it nice and easy. I suggest probably coming out of camera, if you've got a tight entrance like this. I could probably do it in camera, or in cab, sorry. I'd rather do it out, so then at least then you know how much space you've got around you, and there's no chance of you inadvertently clipping something. Again, take it, especially if it's this, you're using this barn like me, take it nice and easy through here, and roughly just line yourself roughly up again with that point, just giving it a little bit of space so it can straighten itself up. Stop, and then save. I'll put it as test for now. Test them. Save. And then get it to drive your courses, and I'll show you. It won't. I don't think there's any milk in my where the cows are. It should stop and then start loading, which it has. But because I've got no milk, it's stopped. So I was just going to tell it to drive now. And you can see it all work. Let's get rid of the box. Let's see how well it does. See that it's got no beacons on this. It's weird. I don't know what that's about. Again, it's fine on the seeding side. If we watch the seeding, and once it gets to a point where it's out of seed, that one's almost out actually. See, turns the lights on automatically. That's why I say it's probably better to get into the habit of putting the care wheels on, because you're going to find it causing all sorts of problems otherwise. This guy's just driving towards the milk sales point. That's probably a little bug that they've got within the Coursplay itself, not making the lights turn on. But that should drive its course. Just watch it drive its course. You know it's working, because when your money starts going up, you know it's hitting those triggers and it's selling. But what I would just say, just make sure that it's like when you're loading up with selling grain. Just make sure your start point and your end point, there's a gap between the two, sort of like in the same sort of space as the the trigger. He's going back to where he's doing. He's more or less finished this one. So cool. I don't know where he's going. Oh, I see where he's going this way. He's going around to his load up from there. And again, like I said earlier, if you draw a course out like this, and you've got this size of header, or sorry, this size of seeder, if I go over to the other seeder, jump out the tractor, get run over. If you go over to this one, this is obviously a lot wider, so you're going to have to sort of like put that into perspective and just redrive new courses with that in mind. I think that more or less concludes everything. There's not a great else I can get on with in the video for you guys and girls. What else have I? The DLC, I have bought the DLC. I don't think I've got it installed on this map actually. The Baylor one, the Anderson DLC. Oh, I've got it actually activated at the moment, as you guys and girls can see. But I probably won't I won't actually keep it on here because not everyone's going to have that DLC. The only reason I bought it was I was going to do a demonstration of it, but then I just thought, well, everyone's probably going to know what's going on with it anyway. And the only reason I bought it is, again, like I say, on one of my other mod testing maps, I find it easy just to use the long length stackers rather than stacking them high and constantly having to use a telehandler or a front loader to sort of like go and do that. But I think I'll leave it at that, peeps. I hope you guys and girls enjoyed the episode. If you did, again, guys and girls, please feel free to like. If you didn't enjoy it for any reason, again, guys and girls, please feel free to dislike. But leave a comment either way down below, so then at least I can improve in the future. If you know anyone else that may also enjoy watching this, guys and girls, please feel free to share. It helps me out a lot, and I don't mind you sharing. And if you're new to my channel and you see future episodes of this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell, so then you know as soon as I upload a new video. I'll see you in the next one. TTFN.